Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, picking up your phone, opening your banking app, and feeling that familiar tension in your chest. Not panic, not fear, just the quiet realization that despite working hard, earning well, and doing everything society told you was right, your financial life feels fragile. This experience is no longer rare in America. It is becoming the norm. And the strange part is that many of the people feeling this pressure are not low-income workers. They are professionals, engineers, managers, marketers, analysts, healthcare workers, people earning six figures, dual-income households, families who look successful from the outside but feel like one unexpected expense could derail everything. Let's meet a couple who could live anywhere in the United States. Call them Ryan and Laura. Ryan works as an operations manager for a logistics company, earning about $88,000 a year. Laura is a senior account executive in advertising, making around $76,000 annually. Together, their household income is $164,000 before taxes. On paper, this places them comfortably above the national median. According to traditional financial advice, they should feel secure. They should be building wealth, investing consistently, planning vacations, and feeling confident about the future. Instead, they feel trapped, exhausted, and most importantly, financially exposed. Ryan and Laura do not live extravagantly. They don't own luxury cars or take exotic vacations. They bought a modest home in a good school district, not because they wanted a bigger house, but because they were told it was the responsible choice. Their mortgage, including property taxes and insurance, is just under $3,600 a month. Childcare for their young son costs $1,900 per month. Health insurance premiums, even with employer contributions, take another $800 out of their budget. Add 2 car payments, student loan repayments, utilities, groceries, gas, phone plans, internet, and the countless small expenses of modern life, and suddenly, that impressive household income feels much smaller. By the end of most months, Ryan and Laura manage to save something, but nowhere near what they expected at this stage of their careers. Their emergency fund would cover maybe 2 months of expenses if one of them lost a job. 3 months at most, if they cut back aggressively. That knowledge alone shapes how they live. It affects career decisions, discourages risk, and quietly fuels anxiety. And here's the part few people talk about openly. The problem isn't that Ryan and Laura are irresponsible. The problem is that the system they're operating in has changed in ways most people don't fully understand. For decades, Americans were sold a simple equation: more income equals more security. If one income could support a household, then 2 incomes should provide stability, comfort, and opportunity. For a brief period, this seemed true. In the late 20th century, as more households transitioned to dual incomes, living standards appeared to improve. Homes became larger. Consumption increased. Families felt optimistic. But beneath the surface, a quiet shift was taking place. As dual-income households became the norm, markets began to adapt. Prices didn't rise because goods and services became better. They rose because more money competed for the same limited resources. Housing is the clearest example. When most households relied on a single income, home prices were constrained by what one salary could support. Once 2 incomes became standard, buyers could afford more, so they paid more. This didn't increase comfort or security. It simply raised the baseline cost. The same dynamic occurred with childcare, education, healthcare, and commuting costs. What used to be optional became mandatory. What used to be a buffer became a requirement. A generation ago, many middle-class families had a built-in safety mechanism. One income covered the essentials. The second adult could enter the workforce if needed. That second income wasn't required for survival, it was insurance. Today, that insurance is gone. Two incomes are no longer a bonus. They are the minimum requirement to maintain a normal standard of living in many parts of the country. And when both incomes are needed just to stay afloat, the system becomes fragile. This fragility doesn't appear immediately. It hides behind promotions, raises, and lifestyle upgrades. It hides behind the illusion of progress. But it reveals itself the moment something goes wrong. A layoff, a health issue, a child who needs additional care, a company restructuring. Suddenly, the household realizes that everything was calibrated for perfect conditions, and life rarely provides perfect conditions. To understand why this feels so widespread, it helps to follow the money honestly, especially the second income. Laura's $76,000 salary looks substantial on paper. After federal and state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and benefit deductions, her take-home pay is about $53,000. Childcare alone consumes more than $22,000 per year. Commuting costs, car expenses, work-related spending, professional clothing, and meals near the office add another $9,000 to $11,000 annually. Then there's the hidden cost. Most budgets ignore the time tax. When both partners work full-time, time becomes scarce. Scarcity leads to convenient spending. More takeout, more delivery, more paid services to replace time that no longer exists. Conservatively, this adds another $4,000 to $6,000 per year. By the end of the calculation, the net financial contribution of the second income may be closer to $15,000 or $20,000 than the original salary suggested. This doesn't mean the second income is useless. It means it's misunderstood. Psychologically, a large combined income creates confidence. It encourages larger commitments, bigger mortgages, more fixed expenses. Decisions that only work if both incomes remain intact indefinitely. That's where the real risk lies. Higher income often increases financial exposure rather than reducing it. As income rises, fixed obligations tend to rise faster. Flexibility shrinks. Margin disappears. This is also why burnout is so common. Burnout isn't just emotional or psychological, it's structural. When a household requires constant maximum output from two adults just to maintain stability, rest becomes dangerous. Time off feels risky. Career breaks feel impossible. Even minor disruptions feel threatening. People aren't weak for feeling overwhelmed. They're responding rationally to a system that leaves no room for error. What makes this especially difficult is that the dual income trap is reinforced by social comparison. Most people don't measure themselves against national averages. They measure themselves against peers, co-workers, neighbors, friends. When everyone around you is upgrading homes, cars, and lifestyles, standing still feels like falling behind. This pressure pushes families deeper into commitments that reduce flexibility even further. And because these decisions are normalized, the risk is rarely discussed openly. The way out of this trap doesn't involve extreme frugality or abandoning ambition. It starts with redefining what financial security actually means. Security isn't about income size, it's about resilience. It's about the ability to absorb shocks without collapsing. One of the most powerful exercises a household can do is a one-income stress test, not as a permanent goal, but as a design principle. Ask a simple but uncomfortable question. If one income disappeared for 6 months, what would break first? What would still work? What options would remain? Households that quietly regain control tend to make similar choices. They buy less house than the bank approves. They delay lifestyle upgrades, even when income rises. They avoid permanent commitments that require both incomes to survive. They treat the second income as conditional, not guaranteed. Instead of using it to expand fixed expenses, They use it to build emergency reserves, eliminate high-interest debt, invest long-term, and create flexibility. This approach doesn't look impressive on social media, it doesn't generate admiration at dinner parties, but it creates something far more valuable: optionality. Optionality is the ability to say no, to slow down, to change direction, to absorb setbacks without panic. In an economy where volatility is increasing, optionality is the real luxury. It's important to understand that the dual income trap wasn't created by malicious intent. There is no villain. No single policy or decision caused it. It emerged gradually as incentives stacked over decades: increased workforce participation, competitive housing markets, rising healthcare costs, student debt, and cultural expectations of success. Each factor reinforced the others. The result is a system that rewards constant output and punishes pauses. Today, that system is tightening. Housing affordability is worse than it has been in generations. Healthcare costs are unpredictable. Job stability is declining even for highly skilled professionals. Burnout is no longer an exception. It's a widespread condition. Running at full speed has become mandatory, and that is inherently dangerous. The most important question modern households can ask isn't, how do we earn more? It's, how do we reduce fragility? Because something will